open that for me. So don't pull anything out of the box yet. We just want to open the box. So I'm going to give you a little background, and we're going to start this panel because it is 1 o'clock, and there are a variety of panels I do when I do conventions, and I'll be honest with you, a lot of them are based on what I have available when I do them. Some of them are these high-end PowerPoint presentations, some of them are just me talking with fans, and some of them are somebody put that on a schedule, nobody showed up to host it, they find me and I go in there and pretend I know what I'm talking about. This is the first one, which is all how we were going to handle this panel was depending on what resources I had access to. I got access to resources, so we're going to do some really fun stuff. As long as Eris doesn't kill herself on stage. Now, raise your hand. He's listening, I can't really fault him. Raise your hand if you have never seen Voltron. That's fine.
Why are you here?
Nothing wrong with that. Watch this.
Somebody has to not see.
No, it's okay. We won't judge you in front of you. I'll stand here and judge you from behind your back. So, all right.
It's okay.
All right. So here's what we're going to do that's going to be different about this panel. And this is going to be your job. I'm going to give you my phone. Come here, go off stage. Let me see, is that a good? Oh no. We're going to go from this side, because I like that backdrop. That backdrop is pretty, isn't it? We're going to do a double win on this one. Let's see. So, go ahead and do me a favor, move those 2 chairs off stage. Did you spill something up there? Oh my God, this is why we can't take you out. All right, put this stuff out of the way. I like that backdrop. Actually, we can do this. Oh, this will be perfect right here. Yeah, just move that chair down there so make sure they're out of the way. Don't block the stairs because people will be coming up and down the stairs. All right, perfect. Oh, who said oh no? Do me a favor, lean forward. I want to see the bus tracks from where he just threw you under there. All right, are we clean up here now? Okay, good. All right, perfect. So, Danny, cowgirl, she bought that outfit, we're from Florida, she bought that outfit specifically. Yeah, specifically for this. Okay, come down here. Huh? I'll move in a second. So you can stand right here with my camera. And, just to take the pictures when you're not, just make sure you're turning around and facing people, otherwise they're all staring at your butt. And that's just awkward. So, yeah, so see how I got that whole frame like that? So,
your eyes start burning.
All right, so, and do you know how to pull the camera if my phone locks? Okay, cool, I know how to train you. Awesome, all right. Some people I know. Okay. So we're going to start talking about Voltron. And while we're talking about Voltron, I'm going to bring up conversation pieces. We're going to go through the history of Voltron together. While I am doing that, how many people have a Facebook, a Twitter, or an Instagram, something like that? Raise your hand. I'm going to call you guys up one at a time. And she's going to take a photo. You're going to walk up on stage while I'm talking. This is what we're going to do for the next hour while you're doing it. While we're talking. And she wants to take a photo of you so that you can, we're going to post it on social media so you can find it and post it for yourself too. We'll post them all later. But DreamWorks sent me Voltron posters for everybody who came to my panel. So when I say it depends on our panel, it depends on resources, it was PowerPoint, or do you guys want to do free stuff while I talk? Yeah, doesn't it? Yeah. The trick question is you have to answer a trivia question. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not that mean. So, perfect. So what we're going to do, I'm going to use you as the first example. Do you mind getting up? Come on. You have to snap your... That's okay. We'll wait a second. But those are amazing. Look at those costumes. Those are amazing. Give them a round of applause. That was great. They have an assistant. Look at that. Finish assembling me. All right. So you're going to be our first example. So you're going to take this and you're going to hold your Voltron poster. Oh my God, your hand is glowing. That is so cool. All right. Get a good shot. There you go. All right. Go ahead and grab a seat. Give them a round of applause. So as we're coordinating that, Danny will just be walking over and pulling each of you while I'm talking and getting photos and handing you a poster. The poster box is right there. Get a photo of you with the poster. The other trick is when I send pictures of everybody with the poster that I gave out, then DreamWorks sends more stuff next time. So, all right. So how many people have watched the original Voltron in Japanese? Wow, there's 1, 2, 3 of us, okay? So enlighten these plebeians, these noobs. What was the original name of that series?
Go Lion.
Go Lion. Has anybody ever, who has not heard of Go Lion before? Raise your hand. It's fine. I'm judging you almost as much as I judged her. Go Lion. Let me teach you about the title. The awesome thing about Japanese titles, they always have multi-meanings in titles. Does anybody know what the word go means in Japanese?
Well, not you.
Yes. Yes, ichi, sanchi, go. So guess what Go Lion means? Look what you just learned. But they also know it means go. So it's a good double meaning of it. There's another famous anime in the 1960s that uses the same trick. Does anybody know?
Speed Racer?
What is Speed Racer called in Japan? Do you remember? Mach Go Go Go. What's the name of the car in Speed Racer? The Mach 5. Yes, so if you watch Speed Racer, it's Mach Go Go Go. All right, so the original Voltron was a Japanese series called Go Lion. If you've never watched it, they actually, I don't know if they still have it. True fact, if you go onto the official Voltron YouTube, it carries episodes, full episodes that you can watch online for free. They post Voltron and they have episodes of Go Lion there. It is slightly more violent than the ones you guys might have watched here. You remember when Sven was kidnapped and came back? Dude is killed. Dead. So there are a lot of changes. It's a lot gorier, a lot more violent. You have similar storylines. How many people, this is probably why how many people watch the Netflix series? The whole kidnapping and that's the very beginning of Go Lion. There's a lot of stuff that the new Voltron has taken from, done very well. So Go Lion was the original series, and in the 80s it became a thing to, and if you have somebody who wants to come up and take a picture with you too, I'm cool with that, that's fine. If you come up, when Go Lion came out in the early 80s, there was a really big deal about getting Japanese cartoons and repackaging them in America. There was a Macross is an anime in Japan. You guys have heard of a show called Robotech, Mach Go Go Go, Speed Racer. So a lot of series. Wait, let me blow your mind. Superbook, or what was the other one? There's the other religious show. There's 2 religious cartoons that are both anime from Japan that got dubbed here. And people are like, wait, that's Japanese? I'm like, yeah, I know, tell me about it. Bible stories from anime. So that became a big deal. So they started converting and they came up with the Voltron 5 Lions. And obviously that took off. How many people watched the original run of Voltron? Excellent. Now this is where you start the, usually the death match or people pulling out knives and trying to stab each other.
Vehicle Voltron doesn't suck. Vehicle Voltron is great.
Thank you for starting that for me. I didn't even have to say it out loud. I thought it, and the Vehicle Voltron fans that are in the audience already know where I'm going. Now, to screw with you guys, how many different Voltrons were there in the 80s?
There's supposed to be 3.
There's 3. There's 3. The what? No. Shh. Go back and take pictures. There are 3 Voltrons. Voltron 1, Voltron 2, Voltron 3. In America, very similar to what happened to the Transformers line, we did get the toys in the United States. All 3 sets of toys were available. Vehicle Voltron, how many people have no idea what Vehicle Voltron is right here?
Sad.
So, you're used to the new Netflix stuff. That's fine, that's why we're here. There was a set of vehicles, and they were like air vehicles, land vehicles, water vehicles, and they all flew around in a spaceship. And they would all assemble another giant robot just like the 5 Lions do. And they were also called Voltron in America. So it was Vehicle Force Voltron, which are all these vehicles, and the head, and had a helicopter, which made no sense in space. Also, the water vehicles, which made no sense in space. Yes.
The flying cars, they were cars. And
The cars that were flying. I was getting to that one. This next one. And the cars, because those were the feet. Vehicle Voltron had roller skates. Not good. So, Vehicle Voltron. That was the first one. You guys are familiar with what is actually affectionately known as Voltron 3, which is the 5 lions. There's one in between there that is the most awkward of them all. I'm going to describe this to you. How many people have heard of Voltron 2 and know what the second Voltron is? Cool. So 3 of us are going to know what I'm talking about, and everybody else is going to think I'm making crap up. I'm not. There are 3 robots, and the 3 robots effectively jump on each other's shoulders. So it'd be like, okay, I'm going to stand here, you jump, and I'm going to hold you like this, and then the third one will jump on top of me. And the 3 of us will become a giant robot by everybody sitting on each other's shoulders awkwardly. Depending on what order they would merge, different powers would come out. And that was the second Voltron. As you can see, trying to tell kids that they should all jump on each other's shoulders was not a big priority for American television. Thus, there were no animations that we saw. So Voltron 2, so there's Voltron 1, Voltron 2, Voltron 3 is the one everybody else loves and still loves today, which is the 5-lion Voltron Go Lion. Now, one of my favorite toys that my grandmother bought me, I had the original Matchbox 5 Lions die-cast metal robot. Has anybody seen this toy or had this toy besides me? For you young ones who are protected by government regulations now, in my day, I brought that thing to school. I could have committed murder if I had let that thing land on a child younger than me. And it was like, when I was a kid and I got that toy, about 2 months later, because I loved playing with it, I had like a big muscle on one arm lifting all that metal in it. It was huge, but it was a great toy. They remade them later, and they did make that version here in America, but of course half of it became plastic because, you know, children with concussions are no longer fun after the 80s. So that ran, so Voltron ran, it was a hugely popular cartoon. Does anybody remember the beginning monologue? From days of long ago, from uncharted regions comes the legend of Voltron. Does anybody know who that voice is?
Peter Cullen.
Peter Cullen. What other famous robot, if you're over the age of 30, don't answer this. What famous robot does Peter Cullen voice? Yes, the voice of Optimus. So if you watch the old Voltron, the very beginning, and you watched Transformers at the same time, you became very confused. Or if you watch the beginning of Voltron and turn the audio off for a moment in a couple of scenes, you think you're watching Sailor Moon. Those who've seen what I'm talking about will know it, because it has the 5 colors shooting. They're like, oh, 5 magical girls. Oh God, they're lions. So so you have the 5 lions. Now, this is where I'm going to have you guys talk to me. I'm going to be honest with you. I was going to do research on this. I started to, and I couldn't bring myself to do it anymore. There have been 2 other relaunches, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. This is where I'm looking to the audience to correct me. Since that aired as other Voltron TV series. I've sat through at least 1 episode of both. One was a CGI Voltron. Did anybody else watch this?
It's unwatchable.
You have right there. Here, come up here real quick. I'm gonna borrow you. So you watched the other Voltron?
Yes.
And it was all CG?
All CG.
Come
Okay, I have to go all the way to the front.
Yeah, so I'm going to give you the microphone. I want you to describe the series to everybody else. I've watched 1 episode, so I might be jaded, but I'm going to have somebody who's watched the whole series see if they came up with the same answer I did. So tell them about that series.
My problem was I couldn't actually find the whole series. When I started watching it, I was just finding episodes online where I could. So I think I've seen maybe half to a quarter to a half of it.
It's more than me.
But it's supposed to be a sequel to the first series. It is all CG. Everything is really old 90s CG. Lotor's a cyborg because apparently when Voltron won, his body got like half mangled. Zarkon starts off pretending to be a good guy for a while before he reveals that of course he's still evil. The Galactic Alliance is run by a robot. Yeah.
She's covered the episodes I've seen.
And then I think at one point they tried to make a stealth Voltron out of the Lions.
On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being amazing, one being not amazing. One being Vehicle Voltron.
It's kind of in the middle.
Really?
Yeah, for me, I would say 6.
Okay. Give her a round of applause for her faulty. I made it through, I think actually now I'm remembering, I think I made it through 2 episodes. I did the turn it on and watch it, and the storyline she described is right, which was Lotor was in a prison cell, and it was kind of like the zany, there's no thought to it, like, oh, he's in there, and it's a trap, and he escapes, and that's kind of the driving force in the series. It is painful level CG. It's like Beast Wars bad CG. I do a whole panel tomorrow about Transformers, and I'll explain to you why Beast Wars sucks then. So,
yes. Yes.
Yes. Beast Wars is not Transformers. So yeah, there's a painful series. Now, from what I understand, I actually watched the better of the 2. Has anybody watched the other Voltron series that happened in between? There was one. You watched the other one too? Here, come back up here, because I don't know anything about this one. And neither does anybody in the room, because allegedly it's that bad. Oh, you do too? So I'm going to have her describe. No, come on up here, and then you describe. You come on up here too.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so you have 60 seconds to describe the series to everybody and what you thought of it, then I'm going to give you the same chance, and we're going to see if we should waste our time looking at this show ever.
Okay, 60 seconds. Another attempt at a sequel series. Something made the Lions go haywire right after they won, so the Galaxy Alliance has kind of disbanded them when the story starts. And then they get 3 new kid tag-along characters who are sort of the focus of the show, but you still get a lot of focus on the older generation, and that's the better part of the show is when it's focusing on the original 5 pilots.
Okay. All right, grab a seat, give her a round of applause. Explain the series that I haven't watched to everybody.
Great. All right, so yeah, there are 3 new cadets, and really they spend a lot more time focusing on trying to discover the origin of Voltron, how he was made, the fact that like 5 planets worked on it together, and it really also shows like the cadets kind of taking over from the original pilots. So.
Any show where you add quirky young kids into the mix is automatically destined to fail. Give them a round of applause. Case in point, Transformers Prime. Anybody watch that series?
Yeah.
Look, it's the Autobots and Decepticons and 3 quirky kids who you want to shoot. Whenever you throw quirky kids into the mix of an already good formula show, you kind of ruin yourself. So, for those of you just joining us, wondering what we're doing, we're going through the core history of the initial Voltron first, and as we're doing that, we have been sent Voltron posters from DreamWorks, from Netflix, and we're getting you, if you want one, you get to come up on stage, she'll call you up there and take a photo. So we're doing that during the panel, because there's either a PowerPoint presentation or us talking while we give you free stuff, and people voted for free stuff. Imagine that, yes. And as long as I send photos to DreamWorks and they think this is cool, maybe they'll keep sending cool stuff for these panels. All right, so we've talked about the first Voltron, which was Go Lion. Then we talked about what is called Voltron 1 in America, which is Vehicle Force Voltron, which everybody except this poor gentleman knows sucks. Then we talked about Voltron 2, which was only the toy and was never released in America except as a toy. And then Voltron 3, which is the one everybody knows is the beloved classic of 5 lines. Now, fun fact about the Voltron Vehicle Force and the Voltron 5 Lions, don't answer this if you're over 30. I gotta do that disclaimer now. What connected those 2 series? There was one element in Vehicle Force Voltron and 5 Lines Voltron that connected the 2 series. Does anybody know what it is?
Pidge's younger brother.
And what was Pidge's younger brother's name?
I can't remember.
Who else? Did anybody else remember?
Chip.
It was Chip, yes. Chip and Pidge. This is important to know because I'm going to bring it up later. So Chip and Pidge were related. One was the shoulder, one was the green lion. Okay? So hold that in your memory because it's going to come up in about 10-15 minutes. Now, flash forward to the current reboot. Now, when they were talking about doing DreamWorks version of it, at the same time, they were also working on a film version. And the film version never came to fruition. The only thing that really popped out is there is a promotional piece they did to try to see what it would look like, and it was Voltron near the Statue of Liberty. If you Google, you can find it, but it's one of those obscure things that pops up and disappears. But they did the series. How many people here have watched Voltron on Netflix? How many people have not watched Voltron on Netflix yet? You are wasting your life. And I don't say that lightly because I am not a big fan of reboots, and I love the new show. It is the perfect balance between homage to your classic show, but doing something very original with it that I enjoy. So the first thing about Voltron, I'm going to mention some spoilers in season 1. My rule is if season 2 is out, it's your own damn fault. So I'm talking about season 1. It is revealed, and I thought it was one of the more clever pieces of writing that they did, that Pidge is actually a woman. It's a girl. So the whole time, she's androgynous enough that you can't really tell, but Allura kind of is like, hey, some of your mannerisms, and her and the mice figure it out, basically. And it's not till about 2/3 through the season that you make this discovery, and it's good for a couple of reasons. Number one, prior to that, Allura was kind of like the token girl in the original series. And when I mean token girl, it's because we killed the other Blue Lion pilot. Let's give the girl one. Oh, she's a girl. Let's dress her in pink. So she didn't even match a lion, but because she was a princess, they put her in that position. So I liked that it wasn't just a boys' club anymore. So they kind of gender balanced the 5, which was great for me. Number 2, though, this is where I have issue with it. The storyline is that she is doing that. She's effectively pretending to be her brother, because her brother was kidnapped, and she's trying to find clues that her brother and her father are still alive. So instead of saying that her brother's gone, she's a super hacker. She changed everything in the system that her brother's still around, and she's been pretending to be her brother. This is where I have a problem with the series. Why did they not name her brother Chip? Because I was watching this with my wife, and I'm like, oh, they're going to say his name is Chip. And they said her brother's name. I'm like, that's not Chip. I hate you. I threw something on TV. So that would have been something that would have made. I mean, it's still good they could change it later, or maybe I'm missing some Japanese joke I don't know, but right now I don't. Because that was the biggest problem when Shiro was introduced. People had no idea who Shiro was, who watched the original series. Does anybody know what Shiro's name was in the original 5 Lions? Sven, and he was Swedish. Yeah. Oh, say it. She has a book that says "Say It in Swedish." Is this because people ask, like, is this for the cosplay? Yeah. Like, if that was a coincidence, that's a great coincidence. But yes, he is Sven. Sven died in the original Go Lion, but in our version, he was kidnapped because a lot of the anime characters were drawn the same and they could cheat later in post. But so when they start calling him Shiro, everybody's watching, who's Shiro? I'm like, oh, you don't want Japanese, and I got to be that snob for 5 minutes. So in the first season, there are a lot of great Easter eggs. My favorite one is, anybody catch the Easter egg the first time they activate to do a jump at the castle? Anybody listen? Do you know the Easter egg from that one? She starts talking about all the processes to turn everything on, and she mentions dynatherms connected. It's the whole speech she gives is the exact speech. In the original Voltron, when they were merging Voltron, there was a speech that they repeated over and over again, and it's because it was cheap to just recycle the animation. Dynatherms connected, and she says step by step, slowly, the entire process of merging Voltron from the first series. So it was one of those like, I'm a nerd because I noticed that. The mice are from the original series. All the characters have been showing up correctly. But again, what I like is there is a very different spin. The planet they're on is much different. It's not like an actual royalty. They're in space. And am I the only old person that thinks that the castle looks like the old Gunstar from The Last Starfighter? Yeah. Yeah, whenever I watch that, I'm like, oh, cool. It's The Last Starfighter, but not. So, excellent. So, that is what has been really good about the new Voltron, is instead of just recycling a story, they've done a very good job of retelling a story. And they've focused a lot more in this series on characters versus what the original Voltron was, which was Row Beast of the Week. Yeah. That's all it was. The original series was, cool, what thing can we make giant to fight Voltron? Because you couldn't just make something, it couldn't be small. So, and then whenever Voltron forms, it's a big deal because it doesn't happen as often. Now, that said, who's watched all of season 2? Good. Because this is a minor spoiler, doesn't ruin anything for the series, but this was my biggest inner fanboy moment in the entire series was the last episode of season 2.
Oh, yeah.
And my problem with the series up until that point, I married a younger woman. My wife is 7 years my junior. Go me. So I sometimes have to translate things in that age gap. One of them is Voltron, who she remembers, but didn't, avidly watch because 7 years. And there is an element of Voltron that's very important in the original Five Lines mythology that comes up in practically every episode, and I was getting really annoyed that it was never showing up in the new series. And it was whenever Voltron would form his sword to attack, he would form it and start attacking things.
Yeah.
And the finale of the episode, the last episode, Shiro gets his, what's that called again? AR. And can activate the power of the Black Lion while he's fighting it. And I'm not even kidding. I'm sitting there with my wife watching the show. I'm like, oh, cool, yeah, cool, And he activates it, and they take the sword and reactivate it, and it starts on fire. And I literally sit up like, oh my God, finally! It only took 2 seasons! And she's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, hold on, Apple TV, YouTube, form blazing sword. And I showed her all the footage. If you go back into the original series, that was the weapon of choice from Voltron, as he did this cool thing with his fist. And you'd hear Keith go, "Form blazing sword!" And he'd go, and it was on fire. So up until that point, they just had a geeky large knife in space. I'm like, yo, this ain't my Voltron, man. At that point, I'm like, there's fire in outer space, which makes no sense whatsoever. But damn it was cool. Yes, magic fire. It's not just fire, it is. Technically, it's magic fire. So yes, that was my big fanboy moment for the series was they finally activated Blazing Sword and everything else. So now that said, what questions do you have or comments do you have about the current Voltron series? What do you like, not like about it? Yes?
It's not a like, it's like when you're talking about things that they're giving homage to. And I'm thinking about when they first get their lions and they're trying to figure out how to put them together. We're talking about the whole time we shouldn't have seen when they're standing on top. One says, let's all pyramid.
Yes. Yes, another one. There are tons, and I wish before I do this panel ever again, I might have to go through and sit with a notebook and do here's all the dumb, obscure stuff I caught along the way. But yes, that is obviously a good joke. My other favorite episode last season, I liked the mall episode, and I don't know why. That's just one of those, it's so random, it's like, oh, okay, here are we saving a race in the galaxy. Here are we trying to form Voltron. Here are we trying to solve the mystery of his knife. Here, let's go to the mall.
And ride a space cow.
Yeah, and ride a space cow, thank you. That very much was like, you could have taken that out, taken the Voltron bookends off of it, and showed it to somebody, and they're like, which anime is this, man?
It's their beach episode.
The what?
It's their beach episode.
Their beach episode? Yes, very much so. Yes, sir?
I really like the characters.
Really like what?
I really like the characters.
Yeah, so we brought that up earlier. The big deal about the new Voltron versus the classic Voltron is there's a lot of character development. Keith has a backstory trying to figure out his lineage. Shiro still has mysteries that he hasn't unlocked because part of his memory is gone. And now that he's got his Bayard, he's finally connected with the Black Lion, which is a big story arc for this season. Paige is still trying to find her brother. Allura is just Allura because she's a little crazy, I think, at this point. But not as crazy as Lance. Yes?
So I finished season 1, but I not finished season 2 yet.
Okay, so we shouldn't tell you that everybody dies in the last episode? Okay. I'm kidding, the mice live. But only barely. Yes?
I have a question about the Voltron 3 toy, the one you said was the 3 people attack on top of the 3 robots.
That was 2, but yes.
So, was that where you pulled off the top half of their body and you would stick them on the top half of the other?
Yes, and the legs would fold back and fold back.
Okay, I was thinking when you were talking about that, I was like, I think I'm having flashbacks here where I should remember this in the store.
Yep.
And I was like, what is this god-awful piece of crap?
Yeah, it was a red one, a blue one, and a black one, I think, with the 3 colors. And again, the trick to it, the storyline was depending on, I'm going to say this and the adults will all giggle and the kids will laugh more. Depending on who was on top is what powers were unlocked by Voltron. The order actually impacted that, yes?
Do you know if there's any direct influence between Voltron and then moving on into Power Rangers? Kind of doing the same thing.
Okay, so that whole concept is a very Japanese thing, period, which is a Sentai force, a team of 5. That's why if you take out the line element of it, yes, 5 Sailor Scouts, 5 Power Rangers, 5 Lions. So it's a very big thing in Japan. I go to Japan for stuff every couple of years so that I stay up to date on the crap I talk about here. There's a theme park I went to at the base of Mount Fuji called Fuji-Q Highlands. It's effectively like a Six Flags, but while you're riding roller coasters, there's Mount Fuji. Their mascots are 5 Sentai warriors with giant belt buckles that are shaped like Mount Fuji. So the whole Sentai force thing, the team of 5 is a trope. It'd be like us saying, oh, there's a new superhero and he has a cape and he flies.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Yes, sir.
I don't know one thing I don't like about Voltron.
Okay, these people might mob you, but go ahead.
Well said last year. I was wearing a suit for FanExpo Dallas, and everybody kept saying, "Are you Voltron? Are you Voltron?" No.
I can actually fix that for you. And the answer to that is it's because Voltron is better than Power Rangers. And if you don't agree with me, go out the hallway. No. It's a mustache.
Talking about the mall episode, that one kind of got me thinking that maybe Zarkon's reign isn't as bad as Aurora's letting on, because you see the people in the Volmera and they're being oppressed as like little slave workers, but I mean, if you have space malls that are all over the place where people are just happy shopping and doing things.
I can answer that by just saying one other title, The Hunger Games. Behind you. Oh, we'll go to you first. Go ahead. I don't know. I don't read the internet. I couldn't answer that because I don't know the exact answer. I know who I can ask and find out, so maybe by the next panel I'll know that. But it would not surprise me if that were true, just how they were working very hard to make it not 5 white boys again. Does that make sense? You have no idea how thrilled I was with the Page storyline when that happened. I'm like, oh God, there's an actual woman on the team and it's not me. Put the chick in pink and throw her the blue line. So, yes?
I just wanted to share something. You triggered a memory for me when you were talking about the...
Wow, 2 flashbacks I've created so far. Go ahead.
Well, this is actually post-2000. When you're talking about the picture of Voltron next to the
Statue of Liberty, yes.
I remember like I had first gotten broadband when I saw that image and I didn't save it because I thought, oh, I can always go back. I have broadband now. There was the teaser trailer for Cloverfield. It was just the Statue of Liberty head rolling down New York.
Oh, that would have been confusing. I didn't put that together, but yes.
With me and like 3 or 4 guys that were nerds at work were like, this must be the Voltron movie. Why are they calling it Cloverfield? Apparently, there were some people that thought that it was Voltron.
That would make sense, because yeah, if you can find it, it's not as populous on the internet anymore, but yeah, it's a really cool image that they did for their promo piece of, look, this is how Voltron, and they did it because how big is Voltron? Here he is standing next to the Statue of Liberty. But he's not cutting the Statue of Liberty's head off because that would be bad. Yes, ma'am.
Throughout the series, it's very reinforced that only Allura can open wormholes. But in the first episode, the Blue Lion opens one. Do we know why that is?
Because we don't understand all the powers that Voltron has yet. And that's been part of the charm of the last series too. So going back to the old man toy for a second, one of the neat things on the original toys is each of the lions had snap-on weapons that were different. So they were all armed slightly different. Like the Blue Lion, you could pop, like there was a piece that you would pull out and it had a cannon on its back. So it had these built-in hidden weapons, stuff like that. So they're following along with the new series, and I like as they progress further and connect more with their lines, they're discovering these powers, and that's giving you as a whole the understanding that you still haven't seen Ultimate Voltron. You know, the fact that we got Blazing Sword was a good start, but at some point you're gonna get like the team is clicked as a team. You know, everybody knows all the powers of their lines, and you'll get that. So I'm gonna write that off to, again, I'm pretty sure Voltron could probably just do it on its own. but they're just not to that level. And in the early days, it was desperation. Blue Lion's like, yo, I got you, bro. Yes, Luigi.
I actually was thinking about the same thing. It's like if you have only one person who can open up, I mean, like one person that would know right now that can open up wormholes. So if you basically take her out, isn't the whole universe basically hosed? I mean, like
just that? No. She's the only person on their team that can do it. There's other ways to create wormholes, but in order to do it with a castle, she's the only one who can do it because she's royalty and of royal blood. So yes, if we off her, then you have a piece of space junk shaped like a castle floating around that's useless to anybody unless they use themselves with her royal blood. So yes, sir.
How long did Voltron 2 run for, or was it just part of another series?
It was another, I don't know if they ever, yes, they did do a short series. I think it was a one season in Japan. So I've never watched it personally, just because based on the toy, it would probably give me some traumatic issues. But that takes some digging, and maybe next time I'll actually try to find footage of that. And if I do, I'll watch it, and if it's so horrible I know that I'll get lawsuits for therapy, I won't show it.
I've heard that Keith is Texan, is that true?
That Keith is from Texas?
Yeah.
Have you watched season 2 yet?
Yes.
Okay, I can tell you that at least half of Keith is not from Texas. Half of Keith is from somewhere else that involves a knife. And that's all I'm gonna, I don't want to spoil it for everybody else, but he winds up killing everyone except for the mice. They live. So, yes, sir. Yeah, we talked about it already. You missed that one. We're not going back there because that show was so awful. But yes, we were familiar with Voltron Force. Yes.
So, I was rewatching season 1 of Voltron the other day.
Are you talking original or are you talking? Okay, thank you. And for the record, don't make this mistake or I'll throw a microphone at you. It is the original Voltron, not the old Voltron. I sent a kid to first aid for saying that to me in the hallway. So continue. You were watching the first season of the Netflix Voltron, and
it just really bothered me when Hulk and Duran were going. Oh, I said Hulk, not Hulk.
I knew what you meant. That's okay.
Hulk and Duran were going to Valmera because they needed stealth, and they didn't once even think to use the stealth button to put on their ship. And they were like, "How can we escape from these?"
If I remember correctly, the stealth button was still it's still a unpredictable piece of technology, and on top of that, they were kind of in a heated moment. So, yes, and there are mistakes. Again, it's the why can the Blue Lion create a wormhole? Nothing is perfect, but leave it alone, man. It's a cartoon. Yes. A theory, okay. Oh, that's right. We did discover that sorry, never mind. If you haven't watched it, but there is a potential racial connection between a villain and there's two potential racial connections. Well, one we've confirmed. The other one's a baby. I don't know if it's a family member. I'm going to say that much.
Well, the thing with that theory is that Alora had been in sleep, like cryo sleep, for 10,000 years. So unless there's something else preserving.
But following her theory, that's why she looks so different, is somebody's had to extend their life with dark magic. So that is a good theory. It's as good as anyone, but yes, there is definitely a connection. I don't know what it is, and that's how they're going to get me with watching season 3. Which, true story, I was trying to explain to the team from FanExpo. They're asking me, we're contracted to help advise on anime programming. And they're like, what's good with anime? I said, here's the good anime titles. I said, now here's titles that are awesome that aren't technically anime, but anime fans love. And I told them Voltron. They're like, okay, yeah, I know we've heard of Voltron. I'm like, no, not the old one, there's a new one. They're like, oh, okay. Literally, they flew me to Toronto. And the next day I was flying back the next night. I am walking through Toronto, just playing tourist for a day, after my meeting. And I get the notification in my email, Voltron has been renewed for a 3rd season. I just screenshot it and texted it to the entire team at FanExpo going, see, and now you're sitting in this panel. True story. So, yes, sir.
I kind of have a love-hate relationship with what they're doing. I really like that they are building so much more of the characters than they did in the original series, but I don't like, they still kind of seem to be foreshadowing that Shiro's going to die and Keith is going to take over Blackline.
Which is what happens in the original one.
Yeah, I don't like that because I really like Shiro.
A tragic hero isn't tragic unless you like them. Or they could pull the same BS they pulled the States. Maybe he's just going to be gone and we have to rescue him. Or at least it could be a temporary thing, because try not to spoil stuff for people who've been lazy and haven't watched season 2. Because they might need it, they might have just been prepping for the current circumstance. How's that for being big? Yes, if you want to get your poster, you can get the line across there. All right. We still have a few more minutes. Any other final questions or comments? Actually, I'm not gonna lie, that's the one thing that bothered me until I went back and rewatched the old one. Well, that was Peter Cullen, if you didn't know that. In the original one, that's also Optimus Prime. He's the voice of that. But he's doing a different voice, and it's slightly blah, blah, blah. And has anybody, so I will jump fandoms that still link them. Do you know what the guy who does that voice looks like? I did it until recently because, did you watch another show and see him in it?
Yeah. I watched, what is it?
Thank you. Okay, that's where I was going with this. Thank you. Okay, so somebody else did that. We were watching a series of unfortunate events on Netflix. And the guy starts talking, and I'm looking at this guy, I'm like, he's familiar, but I can't place him. And I finally had to look it up, and I look at my wife, and I'm like, remember the really obnoxious guy? And yeah, I'm like, look away from the TV and listen, don't look at him. I'm like, oh my God, it's the guy from Voltron. And he sounds exactly like that in a series of unfortunate events. So yes, all of us watched it at the same moment. Good, it wasn't just me. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so in the original Voltron, it shows like the forehead of Voltron.
Thank you for saying the original Voltron. Keep going.
As black and blue, and Keith and Laura had it always different. In the original, it's red and blue. So like Keith and Lance are going to pilot the black line and the leaders.
Well, no, what's going to probably wind up happening, that was, again, the original Voltron was confusing because they didn't stick with their colors. Yeah, so your guy in the red suit was piloting the black line, and the girl in the pink was piloting the blue line. It got confusing. So this one they've been very, hey, you're matching your actual line. If Keith steps into the black line position, which spoiler is probably going to happen, at least temporarily, then we will probably get Laura stepping into his line, which is confusing me because then she's in red. So I can't predict any of this because it's literally like nothing. They're doing enough to match closely to the original series in the new one, and then they're doing just enough to make you go, ha ha ha, you thought we were going to do this? No. So I don't know. So it's a good point, but everything is speculation at this point because credit to the writers, they were writing just close enough to original stuff to make you think you know what's going on, than to suddenly go, no, by the way, Paige is a girl. So, yes?
Since Alteans can use their chameleon ability, could there maybe possibly be another Altean in the Galra?
Did you watch all of season 2?
She hasn't seen it.
Oh, so get to the end of season 2 and then we'll have this conversation again. So I don't want to like throw anything out there just yet. Yes, sir, in the back.
So you alluded to the last Starfighter. Will the castle ever see?
I don't know. And will the Music Man ever show up and tell them that they're one of the greatest pilots ever? 2 important questions resting on my mind. Yes. Define the original Voltron. Are you talking about the old 80s one? Or are you talking okay, the 80s version, is he going to act the same? We don't know. That's a good question. Will he be I have a funny feeling he's going to be a very not zany type of villain, because we've built up so hardcore on this is an extreme oppression piece of the bad guys versus the good guys. If you're bringing in the Prince at this point, I think you're going to see a whole new level of struggle that's going to happen at this point. So, which means more Robeasts, because that's what we need in the series. Yes, sir?
There was a moment in season 1 where Allura was telling them all the qualities that go with each lion.
Yes.
And Lance thought, oh, she's going to put me in the red line because I'm the fiery.
Oh, that's a good point. He could cascade to red and she would take blue.
Yeah.
Dude, we could do this for hours. I need a big dry erase board and go, okay, I need 6 colors, the black guy for notes, okay, and if we move this person to this line, it's like a football thing, like, okay, here's our play. If I put you here, you go here, you're going to wind up here, and you, sir, you're going to form the head. Yes, sir.
It's
No, I want Paige to find her brother, and her brother's been working on a secret project of another giant robot made of vehicles.
The pilots are switching lines because it seems like, especially in season 2, that they're having to form this very special bond with their particular lion in order to lock in superpowers. And then if all of a sudden you jump to another one, aren't you going to lose that?
So in every single series, you have something that's a struggle to overcome. You might have just described will probably be the problem next. Remember, the problem this season, last season was I can't keep control of the Black Lion.
Right.
So you got to try to put some sort of roadblock every season from keeping them just short of creating Ultimate Voltron. And that would be, in my opinion, okay, we have to do this, and it could be, like I said, like he has a good theory. So if we want to go full theory, fine, we'll do this. All right. So what winds up happening in if we put this together. So we lose Shiro, Keith takes Black, Allura steps into Red. It's not working out. We have episode because it's not connecting. Then Lance is like, well, maybe you don't have the right touch. Let me fly your lion. Lance connects better with Red and leaves Blue. And so then she takes over Blue. But the whole time, you're still having issues because Keith is trying to connect with Black. And meanwhile, Hunk and Pidge are like, we out. You guys are screwed. Make me some food, hack some computer, we'll be fine. So, but again, we still have Pidge just got all that data about his brother. So we got that whole other story arc the next season. And more importantly, Hunk has a restaurant to fall back on for a part-time job. Should all this saving the universe stuff go bad. So perfect. Any other questions? Yes?
What happened to the cow?
Technically, it's still on the ship. Based on that episode, by the end of the episode, the cow is in the castle somewhere.
I think we need to find the cow in.
Ask Tom for his plans.
I will love this series even more if at some point next season the cow just randomly. What's that? Oh, that was the cow. What? We don't talk about the cow anymore. Let us never speak of the cow. Perfect. Where am I at time-wise?
Does
All right.
anybody else want a picture with our...
Does anybody? Oh, we have Voltron posters that DreamWorks has given us for this panel. If you would like one, we need to take a picture of you holding it in front of the FanExpo sign. Does anybody else want a free poster? Going once. Going to, okay, fine. Oh, there's another one. Yeah, if you want, just come up to the side of the stage, and Danny's going to get a photo of you and give you a free poster. Because the best thing about coming to our panels, free stuff. Perfect. All right, any other final comments or questions about Voltron before I do a minor recap while we take our photos? Anybody? Going once, going twice. Okay, so to recap, don't you wait, you got one? Go for it.
I was just going to say, I really like how they started mentioning this, the whole thing, one of the few things harder to get than one of the new crystals for the ship will be Voltron, and then in season 2 they just kind of do that.
Yes.
Like, they straight up mentioned it by name.
Do you know what's even harder to find in season 3? A pilot for a Black Lion. It's so funny because it's true. All right, so to recap, for those of you who didn't know, here's the information you're going to walk out of this panel knowing. 1, what was the name of the original Voltron in Japan?
Go Lion.
Perfect. And Voltron 1 was merged by forming what? Vehicles. Voltron 2 was merged by forming what?
Stacking on top of each other.
3 robots stacking on top of each other, but they were just friends. And Voltron 3 was known as the Lions. Yes, and then after that, there are 2 crappy series that nobody speaks of. Voltron Force and CGI, awkward 90s CGI Voltron series, which are both de facto series allegedly to the original one. If you want to take the time and watch all of both of those series, neither Wasabi Anime, which is wholly owned by Green Mustard Entertainment Inc., nor FanExpo, which is wholly owned by Informa Inc., can pay for your therapy bills. That's your problem. And so after that, we got very lucky that DreamWorks got their hands on the series, and they launched Voltron on Netflix a couple years ago. Season 1 and Season 2 are available for streaming online. And yes, they have announced Season 3 is actually happening, which is good, because if they'd left me with that much cliffhanger information, I would be driving out to DreamWorks personally and having words with people. So thank you for coming to our Voltron panel. Enjoy the rest of your weekend at FanExpo.